All right, so fruit and veg plants, if you're gonna eat them, which to eat? Well, pretty simply, ripe fruit, the flesh has lost its plant defense chemicals as it ripens. There's more fructose and glucose, but at least the plant defense chemicals are gone. So there's that. Obviously now you're going to manage the fructose and the glucose, but at least the plant defense chemicals are gone, and that's the nasty stuff about plants. So all plants, leaves, and the skin, seeds actually as well, they are highly defended because plants need to defend themselves, and that's the way they go about it, the way they do it. Of course, fruit wants to be eaten by certain animals and have its seeds passed on. That's how that plant has evolved to reproduce. But you don't want to be crushing the seeds. So us going and blending and crushing seeds, thinking we're getting good stuff out of it, there's a release of actually more harmful chemicals than there is good. Because a lot of these plant defense chemicals, I'll touch on a bit later, they have negatives. They're essentially a slow poison. They prevent the absorption of certain things. Oxalates, just use one example quickly, very high in leafy greens, kale. They prevent the absorption of calcium, and actually are the most common form of of kidney stones, because a calcium molecule gets bonded by an oxalate, forming a calcium oxalate stone, and that's the most common kidney stone. So very high in oxalates. That's why a lot of people who go plant-based end up with kidney stones and issues. But anyway, if you are going to eat fruit and veg, water-based, melons, ripe, fleshy fruit, and vegetables that are very fleshy, cooked till they're soft. So let's say butternut, zucchini, take the seeds out, take the skin off, cook it till it's soft. There's less defense there. But the negative now of that is the higher, fructose and glucose in the form of carbohydrates. Cool. But really, guys, in any form, plants should be survival food just to get you over until there is, meat, protein, saturated fats available. Of course, that's a beautiful gear that we have as humans, that we can survive on these plant foods. So very valuable, but I wouldn't do it for too long. Plants come with a trade-off. So that what I was speaking about there is agriculture has genetically modified our fruit and veg to have more fructose and glucose, more carbohydrate, and less plant defense. Now that comes with a negative because we're getting more sugar naturally in our food. Less plant defense means we can digest it better without irritation. Whereas some of this fruit and veg, the way it's originally was wild, we couldn't even eat them. I don't know if you guys have seen what a carrot should actually look like, what a banana should actually look like. They look nothing like they are today. They're very fibrous, full of these defenses that we wouldn't even be able to eat that fruit or veg. So now more glucose, but now at least we can digest it. Now the other negative that comes with that is that plant is losing its natural defense. So we need to spray more glyphosate and natural pesticides because that fruit and veg can no longer defend itself. So with that now comes some negatives. Right. So anyway, fruit and ripe is the safest option, local and in season. That would just be quite responsible of you, because if there's all these logistical systems involved in getting fruit and veg all over the world, and I think there's this huge negative that comes with that. Vegetables and roots, they require soaking fermentation. Any nuts, seeds, legumes really require soaking, fermentation, and processing if you're going to eat them, because they are the reproductive system of plants. They don't want to be crushed and eaten. They want to be passed and potentially moved through an animal quickly. So like cashew nut, for example, is coated in this poison that almost works like a laxative. If you do swallow and eat it, it'll move through your system quickly. They don't want to be crushed. They don't want to be eaten. So I'd be careful with nuts, seeds, vegetables, roots. Fiber, it's insoluble. It doesn't have a role in our body like people think it does. It's not feeding a bacteria. We don't have the large intestine and the cecum that actually turns fiber into proteins and fats, which is actually what happens for apes and primates. So yeah, no real requirement for fiber. So yeah, the bottom line is you don't need them. The safest option is water-based fruit and veg, cooked till they're soft or completely ripe. Love it. We'll move on. We'll talk about some more of those specifics later on, but really, that's the gist of it. If you are going to have these, just they should not be the base of what you eat. At least that's my opinion. Actually, that's our evolution and design, and that's the tone I'm keeping. Love it. Chat soon.